This is what you need to know now. Trump backs down from his dire threat to Iran, announcing a 2-week ceasefire instead. Will it lead to lasting peace? A school bus packed with children in Florida clipped by a moving train. Epstein investigation. The Secretary of Commerce and former Microsoft CEO Bill Gates set to appear before lawmakers. The stunning images from Artemis 2 and their historic mission.
Absolutely spectacular, surreal.
And 2 titans on the cover of Vogue, Meryl Streep and Anna Wintour. Countdown to The Devil Wears Prada 2 is on.
Cool shoes. Nice boots.
We have much more what you need to know now. I'm James Longman from ABC News. It's Wednesday, April 8th, and this is what you need to know. Let's get right to the big story. President Trump has backed down from his threat to wipe out Iran's whole civilization, announcing a 2-week ceasefire instead. Mary Bruce has more from the White House.
James, 90 minutes before the president's deadline, Trump announcing on social media that he had agreed to suspend attacks on Iran for 2 weeks, saying this will be a double-sided ceasefire. He says this 2-week period will allow for an agreement to be finalized and consummated, but that this had to be subject to Iran agreeing to the, quote, complete, immediate and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. About an hour later, Iran announcing they are on board. The ceasefire comes after the president shocked the world with that dire threat, saying unless Iran agreed to a deal, quote, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. Democratic lawmakers, even the Pope, were quick to condemn those comments. And while some Republicans cheered the president on, others, like Senator Ron Johnson, who's usually in lockstep with Trump, speaking out.
We are not at war with the Iranian people. We are trying to liberate them.
This ceasefire now buys 2 weeks for both sides to negotiate, but of course there are still a lot of details to be worked out here.
A statement from the Iranian foreign minister says passage through the Strait of Hormuz may be possible if attacks against Iran stop. Iran has set out a 10-point plan for negotiations that they say will begin on Friday in Pakistan. Iran's nuclear capability will be a focus for talks, but after 6 weeks of war and the regime still in power, what will have changed? Iran is now charging ships a toll to pass through the strait, earning billions in revenue. Many ordinary Iranians fear the regime is now even more radical. Oil prices came down on the news, but they're still way up from what they were when the war began. Across the US, drivers are still feeling pain at the pump. $4.10 is now the average price per gallon, according to Gas Buddy. Israel says it supports the ceasefire, but there is still a serious question over Lebanon. Iran has made ending Israel's war there a condition of the pause, and yet Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel will not stop its campaign against Hezbollah. This contradicts the Pakistani Prime Minister, who said that the ceasefire would be applied everywhere. The Lebanese Health Ministry says nearly 1,500 people have been killed in Lebanon, including 130 children, since Hezbollah started firing on Israel when the war on Iran began. International aid groups have been sounding the alarm over the humanitarian situation. 1 million people have been displaced. The World Health Organization says there have been 92 Israeli attacks on health facilities across the country in the last month. American journalist Shelley Kittleson, who was kidnapped in Baghdad, has been released. She was taken by an Iran-backed militia who announced that she'll be freed on the condition that she leaves Iraq immediately. Kittleson was abducted 8 days ago, taken from the street in broad daylight. An Oklahoma principal is in stable condition after police say he was shot by a former student at a high school south of Oklahoma City. Officials say Principal Kirk Moore and others confronted the 20-year-old suspect after seeing he was armed. During a scuffle, Moore was wounded and flown to an Oklahoma City hospital. The suspect is facing several firearms-related charges but has not made a court appearance yet. The principal is being hailed as a hero.
The actions of the staff and the principal stepping in as soon as they saw a subject with a firearm saved lives today.
The new wife of an army soldier has been released a week after she was detained by ICE. 22-year-old Annie Ramos was trying to register as a military spouse when she was arrested at Fort Polk in Louisiana. Homeland Security officials say Ramos will wear a GPS monitor as they continue the deportation process. Ramos, who was born in Honduras, has lived in the U.S. since she was a baby. Her attorney says a removal order was issued for her in 2005 when she was less than 2 years old. A Florida woman has been charged with child neglect and reckless driving driving after the school bus she was driving was clipped by a fast-moving train at an intersection with the lights activated and the crossing bars coming down. There were 29 children on the bus. Authorities say the driver told police there was a car at the intersection and she was waiting for it to move. When it did, she began to cross, but then she says the car stopped. According to the arrest affidavit, the police officer responding to the scene said the driver could be heard saying, "Not gonna stop for no train." The driver has not yet entered a plea. No one was injured, but authorities say the incident could have been a tragedy.
Trains don't sneak up on people, folks. It was poor judgment, and that's what led to this arrest. Poor judgment that placed children at risk.
A matter of 6 inches is the difference in all of this, and it could have been an extremely catastrophic situation.
Lawmakers are set to hear from Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. A source familiar with the matter tells ABC News Lutnick is expected to sit for a closed-door interview with the House Oversight Committee next month. Lutnick was Epstein's next-door neighbor for a decade. He acknowledges visiting Epstein's private island with his family, but denies any wrongdoing. Bill Gates is also expected to appear before the panel in June. Gates has apologized for his relationship with the sex offender and says he had no knowledge of Epstein's crimes. And we have much more what you need to know. Now to take 3, the stories that you'll be talking about today. Number 3, Vice President J.D. Vance was in Hungary to lend his support to Prime Minister Viktor Orban. On stage at a rally, Vance tried to get Donald Trump on the phone, but it didn't quite go to plan.
Let's hope he actually answers. This is going to be very embarrassing. All right.
I'm sorry, the person you were trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet.
Okay. Try one more time. Hello, Mr. President. How are you?
Orban, who is Vladimir Putin's closest European ally, was the only EU leader to support President Trump at his 2016 election, and since then the two have remained close. The European Parliament describes Orban's Hungary as an electoral autocracy. Known for his anti-immigration rhetoric, he's been in power since 2010 and has made opposition to Ukraine a key part of his re-election campaign. Number 2, what snack would you choose while travelling around the moon? Well, during a live stream of NASA's Artemis 2 mission, a jar of Nutella was seen floating inside the Orion spacecraft, one of the crew likely leaving a cupboard open. The moment quickly went viral, many joking that it was the best commercial in space. Nutella responded on X saying it was honoured to have travelled farther than any spread in history, adding that it was taking spreading smiles to new heights. And number 1, the most fashionable double take. Meryl Streep on the cover of Vogue alongside its global editorial director, Anna Wintour. The two pop culture queens have come together to promote the upcoming sequel to The Devil Wears Prada. Streep spoke about reprising her role as Miranda Priestly more than 20 years after the original film's release. Wintour, who is said to have inspired the character, said she trusts Streep implicitly in the role. The Devil Wears Prada 2 is set to hit theatres May 1st. And new today, the suspected Gilgo Beach serial killer is expected to plead guilty to the murders of 8 people who authorities say were killed between 1993 and 2010 on New York's Long Island. Until now, 62-year-old architect Rex Heuermann had maintained his innocence and was to stand trial in September. His guilty plea includes 1 new victim. If the plea is accepted, he will spend the rest of his life in prison. And now, one more thing before you go. Take a look at these incredible images from the astronauts of Artemis 2. This is the Earth peeking out from behind the moon. The astronauts also witnessed their own personal solar eclipse for 53 minutes, the sun totally blocked out by the moon. And overnight, NASA posted this photo of the Milky Way galaxy, calling it starstruck. And somewhere along that strip in space is us. And that's what you need to know. For breaking news and live updates throughout the day, check out ABC News streaming on Disney+. New episodes streaming every day on Disney+.